You've done it for years. The water simmers just enough, not quite boiling. You steep the bag, watch the soft swirl of pale green spreading through the cup. It smells clean, pure, like health itself. You hold it with both hands, maybe cradle it for warmth as the day winds down. No sugar, no indulgence, just something light and comforting before sleep. It feels like self-care. It feels like the right thing. But sleep hasn't been the same, has it? You wake often, sometimes too early, sometimes with your heart just a little too loud in your ears. Dreams, when they come, feel like flickers instead of deep stories. And in the morning, even after a full night in bed, your body moves like it's been holding its breath. You wonder if this is just aging, if this is what sleep looks like now. But something deeper in you suspects there's more, that your body is whispering, trying to say something you haven't quite heard. It isn't that you're doing something wrong. It's that your body has changed, and what once helped you wind down may now be holding you back. Not in obvious ways, not in dramatic ways, but in quiet ones, subtle ones, like a gentle current pulling against the direction you want to go. That cup you drink each night, the one that feels innocent, might be sending a ripple through your nervous system just as it's trying to let go. And if your sleep feels fragile lately, it may be because the very ritual meant to soothe you is now standing gently, persistently in the way. And it doesn't always show up in ways you can describe. Some nights it's just a vague tension that sits beneath the surface. Your body is tired, but your mind doesn't surrender. You roll to one side, then the other, hoping the stillness will trick your brain into sleep. But instead of drifting, you hover, half here, half gone. Other nights, you wake without reason. No noise, no discomfort, just your eyes opening into darkness like your body decided the night was over too early. You may not realize it at first, but something feels thin about your rest. You notice it the next morning when the light feels a little too sharp or the stairs feel a little too steep. You blink slowly through the early hours, needing more time to shake off the haze. And there's this faint sense that your mind is lagging just behind your body, as though your thoughts are walking through fog. It's not always exhaustion. Sometimes it's just this low-grade unsteadiness. Your balance is a little off inside. You chalk it up to getting older, maybe a late dinner, maybe the mattress. But deep down, a part of you suspects this isn't normal, even for your age. Because your body wants to sleep. It still remembers how to repair, how to restore. But when the wrong signals come too close to bedtime, it holds back. It stays alert, just enough to keep the doors cracked open. You don't call it anxiety. You don't call it stimulation. You just feel it. And when sleep becomes something you chase instead of something you fall into, the quiet comfort of your evening ritual no longer feels like enough. It feels like something you trusted, but maybe shouldn't anymore. Because when something has always seemed good for you, it's hard to question it. Green tea isn't soda. It isn't alcohol. It's not processed or artificial. It's natural. It's antioxidant rich. You've heard it praised by doctors, nutritionists, even friends who swear by it for digestion and calm. And that's what makes it tricky. That's what makes it easy to overlook. You trusted it for the right reasons. You still do. But trust doesn't stop the body from changing. What worked for you in your 40s, even in your 60s, doesn't always work now. Not because you failed, but because your system has shifted, quietly, gradually. The caffeine that once gave you focus now lingers longer than it used to. Your liver processes it slower. Your brain responds more acutely. Even a small dose, barely noticeable during the day, can become the spark that keeps your nervous system just a notch too awake when you most need stillness. It's not dramatic. That's what makes it so difficult to see. It feels like your choices are right, but the outcomes tell a different story. You look for other reasons: stress, weather, hormones. And green tea stays off the suspect list, cloaked in its reputation for wellness. But it's not about whether green tea is healthy or not. It's about when and how your body can receive it. And if you felt betrayed by your sleep, despite doing what feels wise, this might be where to look. Not with blame, just with curiosity. Because what once brought balance may now be tipping the scale. And the comfort you seek might not be in what you've added to your routine, but in what your body is quietly asking you to remove. That request, subtle, persistent, starts making more sense when you look just beneath the surface of what's in that cup. Green tea feels gentle, but its chemistry isn't passive. Inside every sip is a blend of compounds designed to wake, to focus, to energize. The most familiar is caffeine, and even though green tea has less of it than coffee, the smaller dose doesn't mean it's harmless, especially not now. In older adults, caffeine isn't cleared from the body as quickly. What fades after a few hours in someone younger can linger well past bedtime in you. It sits in the bloodstream, whispering to the brain to stay alert, and when you're trying to rest, even that whisper becomes noise. But it isn't just the caffeine. There's another compound, L-theanine, that gets praised for calm and clarity. It sharpens attention while smoothing edges. During the day, that might feel helpful, but at night it becomes confusing. It makes you feel relaxed but alert, like your mind is serene yet still flickering beneath the surface. Your body can't decide what to do with it. Sleep for the brain requires surrender, and surrender doesn't happen under stimulation, no matter how subtle, no matter how clean. Green tea, with its delicate bitterness and calming reputation, masks that stimulation. It doesn't jolt you, it just hums quietly, keeping the nervous system slightly elevated, keeping deep sleep slightly out of reach. You wouldn't know to blame it. You wouldn't feel a surge or a spike, just a softness that isn't quite rest. And in the silence of night, even a soft disruption becomes enough to break the rhythm that your body is trying so hard to protect. And that's the part no one tells you, that this isn't your body turning against you. It's not betrayal. It's not decline. It's protection. Because as we age, the body becomes more deliberate. It doesn't process the world with the same speed, but it listens more carefully. It filters more cautiously. That slower caffeine clearance isn't failure, it's defense. Your nervous system has learned over decades that stimulation, even small amounts, can throw off balance, so it holds onto signals longer, keeps a closer eye on incoming cues. At night, this becomes even more important. Your circadian rhythm, the natural clock inside you, depends on quiet to do its work. It needs the room to lower blood pressure, regulate temperature, balance hormones, and initiate memory repair. But when something nudges that rhythm, like green tea quietly activating your system just before bed, it responds. Not with panic, but with watchfulness. It stirs slightly, just enough to stay on alert. And that alertness is what you feel as light sleep, or early waking, or the sense that your rest never quite settled. You're not oversensitive, you're not fragile, you're finely tuned. That's what a lifetime of adaptation does. It makes the body smarter about what it allows in, especially when it's vulnerable. Sleep is one of the most sacred forms of healing your body can access, and your system knows this. It's not reacting to make you miserable, it's trying to shield you from what feels like noise in the wrong moment, even if that noise comes from something you trusted, even if that noise is wrapped in the warmth of a familiar cup. It happened quietly, as these things often do. Someone doing everything they were told, cutting sugar, walking after dinner, skipping the heavy meals at night. They tracked their sleep, tried to go to bed earlier, even stopped scrolling through their phone after dusk. But the nights remained fractured. Falling asleep wasn't the problem, it was staying there. One moment deep, the next suddenly awake, with no sound, no need, just the body stirring on its own. They assumed it was normal, part of the trade-off for getting older. You make peace with some things, you think, until a chance remark during a conversation, someone casually mentioning how they'd stopped drinking green tea after 4 p.m. and finally felt rested again. It didn't make sense at first. Green tea had been part of the routine for years, but with nothing to lose, they made the smallest change. They moved the cup to the early afternoon. No other adjustments, no new supplements, no pills, just that one shift, and something shifted back. The waking happened less, then not at all. And then came that moment they hadn't felt in so long. The experience of opening their eyes in the morning without having opened them at 2 a.m. or 4:15 or just before dawn. It wasn't dramatic, it was gentle, but it felt like the body had finally exhaled. Not because something new was added, but because something subtle, something well-intentioned but poorly timed, was finally taken away. That's the part no one warns you about. How the smallest habits can sometimes hold the loudest influence over your rest, especially when they've been wrapped in trust for so long you stopped questioning them. And when something that small makes that big of a difference, it's easy to feel frustrated. You wonder why no one told you, why the articles focused on antioxidants but never timing, why sleep tips never mentioned what's in your cup. You start second-guessing every healthy choice you've ever made. Was I wrong this whole time? But no, you weren't. You were making the best decision with the information you had. You were listening to the right voices. The problem isn't your effort. It's the silence around the details that matter as your body ages. The advice out there isn't always made for you. It's often built for younger systems, faster metabolisms, different sensitivities. And when it doesn't work, you're left to carry the confusion as if it's your failure. But it's not. It's a mismatch between what you need now and what's still being told to everyone as if we're all the same. You weren't wrong to trust green tea. You weren't wrong to build rituals around it. The trouble is that no one reminded you your body would change the rules, not out of punishment, but out of protection. And if your sleep has been suffering despite doing all the right things, it's not because you've failed. It's because the world often forgets to update its advice as you evolve. But now you know what to look for. Now the picture is becoming clearer. And instead of piling on new routines or chasing complicated solutions, maybe it starts here, with a pause, a question. What if the answer isn't more effort, but less interference, because it doesn't take much? That's the shift most people don't notice until it's already affecting them. A full cup isn't always necessary. Sometimes just a few sips after dinner is enough to echo into the night. It's not about quantity anymore. It's about timing, clearance, and sensitivity. Your body isn't flushing things out the way it used to. The caffeine in green tea, about 30 milligrams per cup, might not sound like much, especially compared to coffee, but inside a system that's slowing down, where enzymes move with more caution and sleep architecture grows more fragile, even that small amount becomes weightier. It binds to receptors in the brain that usually gather adenosine, a compound that builds up through the day to make you sleepy. But when caffeine slips in instead, it blocks the message. Your brain stays more alert, even if you feel calm. You close your eyes and expect sleep, but something subtle is off, like your brain hasn't been fully given permission. And even if you do sleep, it may not be deep. You may not cycle through the rich stages your brain needs to heal and file memories. You may drift in and out, never quite sinking far enough to truly restore. And all of that, those skipped stages, those false starts, can begin with just one well-meaning cup, taken too late. That's the part no one warns you about, how tiny doses can build a quiet wall between you and rest. You didn't drink too much. You didn't make a mistake. You just didn't realize how powerful small things become when your system is trying to protect every inch of quiet it can get. And those ripples don't stop when the sun rises. A broken night, just one, sets off a quiet cascade that touches everything. You feel it before you measure it. The morning feels heavier. Your balance is just slightly off. You reach for your routine, maybe breakfast, maybe your morning walk, but everything takes longer to settle. Your mind feels thick, like it's moving through wet fabric. And the day begins not from a place of energy, but of recovery. Inside, deeper changes are taking shape. Inflammation begins to stir, low grade but persistent. Your blood sugar may spike more easily even if you eat the same meal. Your body becomes more reactive, less resilient. And because sleep is when the brain files memory, repairs tissue, and rebalances hormones, a fragmented night means those tasks were left incomplete. Your immune system notices. Your heart notices. Even your mood, more irritable, more anxious, picks up on the absence of deep rest. But the hardest part is that none of this feels extreme. It feels explainable. Just a bad night, just a long day, just age. So it goes unchecked. And when it happens again, And again, the body begins to adjust to this new normal. It lowers its expectations. It moves through each day with a little more strain and each night with a little more resistance. And the one habit that may have started the cycle, the cup of green tea you thought was helping, remains untouched. Not because you're ignoring the signs, but because no one told you where to look. But the body knows. It remembers what deep rest feels like. It's waiting for the night when nothing nudges it awake, and it will begin to heal the moment that chance is given back. That's what makes it confusing, the calm you feel. You sip the tea and your shoulders loosen. Your breath deepens a little. There's no jitter, no rush, no heat. It feels like something gentle guiding you down. But that's the trick of it. What you're feeling is not sedation, it's stimulation softened. Green tea doesn't slow the brain the way true sleep cues do. It smooths the edges while keeping the engine running. And that sensation of mental clarity wrapped in stillness feels pleasant, even meditative. But inside, your system is doing something else entirely. The caffeine is blocking the adenosine buildup, stopping that natural wave of drowsiness from cresting. And the L-theanine, while relaxing in some ways, sharpens your attention at the same time. You feel composed, but your brain hasn't let go. It's coasting, not descending. And sleep doesn't come from composure. It comes from surrender. You don't drift into deep rest because you feel calm. You enter it when your brain is unguarded, unhooked, no longer attending to the edges of your awareness. And green tea keeps you just above that threshold, safe, still, but quietly alert. That's why you can lie there, eyes closed, breathing soft, and still feel like something in you is watching, waiting, not alarmed, just unwilling to fully let go. That's not rest, that's pause. And when that pause stretches into hours, night after night, the exhaustion becomes familiar. You think it's just part of life now, but it isn't. It's a false calm, a quiet wakefulness dressed as peace. And once you see it, you can start to choose differently. Because rest isn't just about quiet, it's about the right signals reaching the brain at the right time. And as your body gets older, those signals change. What used to be enough, a dark room, a soft blanket, a quiet mind, might no longer tip the scale into sleep. Your brain now looks for more deliberate cues, the kind that speak to safety, warmth, and withdrawal from the day's stimulation. Magnesium becomes more important. It helps muscles release tension, helps the nervous system settle. Melatonin, once produced freely in youth, may now need support. More darkness in the evening, less blue light, more quiet routines. Your core body temperature needs to drop slightly, gently, to signal the transition into deeper stages of rest. Even small movements, slow stretches, warm baths can create that drop. And your mind, often overstimulated even in retirement, needs rituals that say, "You're done now, you can let go." That doesn't mean more work, it means different work. Swapping green tea for something truly non-stimulating, lemon balm, chamomile, a cup of warm water with cinnamon. These aren't trendy, they're timeless, and unlike green tea, they carry no hidden signals to stay alert. They don't fake calm, they create space for it. Because your brain still knows how to sleep. It hasn't forgotten. It just needs conditions it can trust again. And trust is built through stillness, not stimulation. Through signals that match the body's rhythm, not ones that override it. When you give your body what it's quietly been asking for all along, you don't have to fight for sleep anymore. You just return to it, naturally, gently, completely. And when you start making these shifts, the body responds. Quickly, quietly, almost gratefully. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need a new mattress, a dozen supplements, or complicated trackers. You just need to begin in the space where rest is most often disturbed, your evening rhythm. Move the green tea back, give it space. Instead of drinking it at 8 or 9 p.m., try it with lunch or early afternoon, where its benefits can still reach you without disrupting your night. Then trade your bedtime sip for something that asks nothing of your nervous system. Chamomile with its soft floral bitterness. Lemon balm, which quiets the digestive tract and slows the mind. A pinch of valerian root in warm water, strong, earthy, but deeply sedating. Even warm milk for some returns a childhood calm. Pair that with small rituals, dimming lights an hour before bed, putting your feet in warm water, or gently stretching your spine as the day fades. These aren't magic, they're messages telling your body, we're safe now, we're finished, you can let go, and the body listens. You may find you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, wake with a stillness that's been missing. And the most surprising part isn't how effective these changes are, it's how easy they feel once you realize how little was truly needed. Your body never stopped knowing how to sleep. It simply needed fewer disruptions, not more stimulation disguised as care. It needed space to return to what it always knew. And now, it's starting to find its way back. That's the part that often gets lost when sleep starts slipping away. The feeling that you've somehow fallen behind. Your body is betraying you. But this isn't failure. This is adjustment. And adjustment is a kind of intelligence. You're not doing anything wrong because you need new habits. You're doing something right by noticing. The truth is, your body has been whispering for a while, not with panic or pain, but with little signs. Waking too early, needing naps that never quite restore, mornings that start in a haze instead of clarity. You didn't ignore those signs. You've been responding in the ways you were taught to respond, with healthy choices, trusted habits, routines that always felt right. It just turns out that some of those habits need to evolve now. That doesn't mean they were bad. It means they were good for who you used to be. And now you're becoming someone else. Still strong, still wise, still capable, but different. Your system is tuning itself more finely. It asks for less input and more quiet, fewer stimulants and more gentleness. You're not weaker. You're simply in a stage of refinement. That's what aging can be. Not decay, but transformation. And like any transformation, it requires noticing when the old way no longer fits. If sleep has felt broken, it's not because you've given up. It's because your body has been asking you to shift. And the moment you respond, not with blame but with curiosity, you begin the most healing kind of change, the kind that comes from finally listening. And then one night you notice something you hadn't felt in a long time. Nothing, no stirring, no flicker of wakefulness, no long stretch of staring at the ceiling, listening to the clock. Just sleep. Deep, steady, unbroken. The kind that doesn't make itself known until it's over, and you rise in the morning not with effort, but with ease. You don't question it at first. You just move slower through the day, not from fatigue but from peace. Your breath feels longer. Your thoughts come without fog. You catch yourself smiling at the softness of a morning that didn't begin with a fight. And then it happens again. Another night where your body lets go fully. No interference, no disruption, just quiet that holds. The rituals helped, yes, but it was never about the tea, or the light, or the stretch. It was about listening. It was about recognizing that your body had been asking for something gentler all along. And now that you've removed what stood in the way, now that the quiet has returned, sleep no longer feels like something you earn. It feels like something that returns to you, naturally, freely. You begin to trust it again. You begin to expect rest, not struggle. And the fear that sleep might never feel whole again starts to fade. You remember what it means to wake with clarity, to move without dragging, to feel yourself restored, not surviving. This is what happens when you stop managing your nights with habits designed for someone younger and start honoring the rhythm your body speaks in now. The quiet is still there. It never left. You simply needed to stop interrupting it. Because in the end, it was never just about the tea, it was about the ritual, the stillness, the way your hands wrapped around that cup and told your body the day was done. It was about intention, care, a moment of pause that no one else needed to understand but you. And that part, you don't have to give that up. You can still hold something warm. You can still create a rhythm that signals rest. You can still mark the end of the day with a quiet gesture that tells your body it's safe to soften. What changes is not the care but the container, the cup, the contents. Those were just the tools. What mattered all along was the message. I am caring for myself now. I am ready to rest. And that message still matters, maybe more than ever, because this stage of life isn't about losing things. It's about refining, about listening more closely, about removing what no longer serves, even if it once did. You're not giving up a part of yourself by changing your habits. You're honoring who you are now. You're allowing your body to speak with more clarity, and you're answering with kindness. The kind of kindness that doesn't force comfort but makes space for true peace. So let the cup change. Let the routine evolve. Pour something new, something that aligns with the quiet you now protect. Light a candle. Sit in the same place. Close your eyes. Take the same slow breath. You're not starting over. You're continuing. But now, you're continuing without the subtle disruption, without the mistaken comfort, without the tension hidden in warmth. Now, your ritual isn't keeping you from rest, it's guiding you toward it. And your body, wiser than ever, will feel the difference, not because it was fixed, but because it was finally heard. Sleep isn't slipping away from you, it's circling back, and this time you're ready to receive it fully.